Hello, welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network on the Monday after Super Bowl 60. We hope you had a wonderful weekend enjoying many sports, and we'll highlight some of those on RSBN Sports today. But of course, we're covering the latest from the Trump White House. President Trump enjoying the Super Bowl between the Seattle Seahawks and New England Patriots right there at the Trump International Golf Club in Palm Beach, just a few minutes or so from the Mar-a-Lago Club. Always a joy to be with you. I'm Robert McNeely, as I had a whole host of enjoyable times watching some Waste Management Open to, of course, Super Bowl 60 and our great Olympians overseas right now in Milano and Cortina, Italy, in the old country. Those Dolomites really making a beautiful backdrop to what's been a star-studded number of events, from downhill skiing to also skiing around that track as well. And our thoughts with many of our athletes over there, as gold medals are already being won. So it's a proud moment for us as we look towards those events, not only happening overseas, but locally right here at home in the federal city. As we mentioned last week, sometimes hell freezes over, and funding for DHS and government operations from the Congress now funded through February 13th. So this Friday, we are facing a possibility of another government shutdown to occur. Democrats really digging their heels in the sand when it comes to the issues faced in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and throughout the country. And this weekend, 42 people arrested as a result of taking place in these protests, some peaceful, some very violent. Again, ice bottles literally be throwing at ICE, and engagements by protesters with Democrat politicians like J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, the governor, encouraging resistance, encouraging the dog whistles and the distractions against state, local, and even federal officials. And it really has to stop. Allow these good police officers and these uniformed agents to do their jobs, removing the absolute worst that came over an open border from the last administration. We'll take to Truth Social right now and see some of the posts that President Trump spoke on over the weekend and through the last few days, starting with the Super Bowl, of course. The halftime show, absolutely terrible, one of the worst ever. It makes no sense, in an affront to the greatness of America, and does not represent our standards of success, creativity, or even excellence. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying, and the dancing is disgusting, especially for young children that are watching the show throughout the United States of America and all over the world. This show is just a slap in the face to our country, which is setting new standards and records every single day, including the best stock market and 401k in history. There is nothing inspirational about this mess of a halftime show. And watch, it will get great reviews from the fake news media because they haven't got a clue of what is going on in the real world. And by the way, the NFL should immediately replace this ludicrous and ridiculous new kickoff rule. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump. If you've been watching this past season, in an attempt to cut down on concussion rates, you have the kicking team going literally yards from the receiving team, and it's made it somewhat obsolete, and most are not even returned based on this new rule, but something that President Trump has been very passionate about throughout his term. We'll see if there's any changes to that. I took a moment to watch actually both the halftime show and the counter-programming from Turning Point USA, and I could say that was a star-studded all-American event with Gabby Barrett, also Lee Brice, and of course Kid Rock, Mr. Robert Ritchie, adding in some lines from a classic country song and talking about if you have the chance, go take it, whatever that might be in life, whether it's a job or a certain relationship or even your relationship with Jesus, dusting off that Bible and getting back into the Word. An important thing to remind us as we enjoyed yesterday, ideally with family and friends around a lot of laughter and some good food in order to take in what is really the event of the sports year. This is at the backdrop of a record market hit here in the United States. With cut number 2, President Trump speaking on this, a record stock market and national security driven by our great tariffs. I'm predicting 100,000 on the Dow by the end of my term. Remember, Trump was right about everything. I hope the United States Supreme Court is watching. Of course, that's in reference to that case regarding tariffs. We were anticipating by the new year to have a decision possibly on that, and if the tariffs were seen as legal and then could remain. But we're looking at perhaps a summer decision with those June decisions coming from the Supreme Court. And with the precedent there, we've used tariffs to become rich in the past. President Trump stating this on a regular basis regarding those blue ribbon committees that were heavily funded by the federal government in the late 19th century to fund schools and projects throughout the country because we had so much money there. And it seems like common sense and precedent that we've had tariffs to make us the world's richest nation in the past. Why not do that again with trillions and trillions coming in? And it was seemingly billions overnight with deals in Asia to the UK, to the European Union. President Trump changing all that on a global scale, which affects everything domestically, especially when it comes to manufacturing. Also yesterday, not only a big day for the United States in the sports world, but for the Japanese government and their elections. With cut number 3, President Trump congratulating what is their Liberal Democrat Party, but they are the right-wing populists in Japan. Congratulations to Prime Minister Sanae Takachi and her coalition on a landslide victory in today's very important vote. She is a highly respected and very popular leader. Now, Sanae's bold and wise decision to call for an election paid off big time. Her party now runs the legislature, holding a historic 2/3 super majority. This is the first time since World War II. Now, Sanae says, "It was my great honor to endorse you and the coalition. I wish you great success in passing your conservative peace through strength agenda. The wonderful people of Japan, who you have with so much enthusiasm, will always have my strong support." Of course, signed by President Donald Trump. And we saw there with that swing on the West Coast, if you will, really the East Coast, if you look on the other side of the world, Japan, a crucial partner and ally for the United States, especially in defense of all that is right with the world in the Pacific Fleet and also with our military alliance. That was a big visit there that culminated in trips to South Korea, also to deal with Thailand and Cambodia in Malaysia, and those two kingdoms coming to peace, one of the 8 President Trump speaks on a regular basis. So those are exciting to see, as the late, great Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, that's his protege now in his once beloved office, and his party finding a way to create supermajorities and right-wing populism, not only happening here in the United States, but throughout the world. The big focus legislatively for the administration right now, the Save America Act, something Democrats are hell-bent on stopping and really using the filibuster rule and that 60-vote threshold to try and prevent. With cut number 4, President Trump laying out that America's elections are rigged and stolen and a laughingstock all over the world, and we are either going to fix them or we won't have a country any longer. I am asking all Republicans to fight for the following: Save America Act. In this, it includes all voters must show a voter ID, identification. How many things do we do on a daily basis where we need to show our identification? But for some reason, Democrats in Washington, D.C. do not want to do that, although 72% of Democrats right now are in favor of that, Democrat voters specifically having that voter ID. Number 2, all voters must show proof of United States citizenship to register to vote. And number 3, of course, no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. This was something that was happening even a decade ago, 2 decades ago, where if you were to vote early or vote absentee or even mail in, you would simply have a reason for it. But now we have some states that simply mail out those ballots to every single voter on the rolls. And we do know, especially from that Virginia case, where the former governor Glenn Youngkin suing his own state government to release those rolls and to clean up those rolls, it ended up becoming a federal case. They found nearly 8,000 of those not eligible to be on the rolls any longer. So even in the Commonwealth, seeing that, and we all want free and fair elections, regardless of party, ideology, and background, and President Trump leading the charge and the way on that. So we will watch how quickly that will go through potentially this week. So it's a big week for House Speaker Mike Johnson, also Majority Leader Thune on the Senate side, as we'll watch that very, very closely. Also, with the Cricket World Cup, sports going on all over the world, President Trump saying that I just heard the Cricket World Cup is underway in India. I wish the best of luck to Team USA. We have a very strong team. America is rooting for you, and we're rooting for them as well, as we see many Olympians in Italy, but also this great competition happening overseas with our friends in India. Also, President Trump, we know, does not hold back when it comes to those who want to use their platforms to trash the good old US of A. And with cut number 6, President Trump took aim peacefully and patriotically at Hunter Hess, a United States Olympic skier, a real loser, says he does not represent his country in the current Winter Olympics. If that's the case, he should not have tried out for the team, and it's too bad he's on it. Very hard to root for someone like this. Make America great again. But we had the team effort just yesterday where the skating team did take that team gold home with them. So a very exciting time overseas as we continue to watch our great Olympians in the wonderful country of Italy. A great leader over there as well, Georgia Maloney. We're grateful for allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Choose freedom. Choose the right pharmacy. Use code RSBN10 for 10% off now. With those storms and severe weather hitting the country in recent weeks, it's smart to get stocked up on life-saving medications and to have deliveries and access to care. Many Americans are relying on these generics that are off-label to make a big difference. Things like antibiotics to antivirals, NAD+, methylene blue, ivermectin, mebendazole, and much, much more. Imagine already having an emergency medical kit or a flu medication kit there at your house. A few months of blood pressure medication as well, without having to run out the door when an emergency does happen. Now, All Family Pharmacy helps make that possible. Well, how do they do that? Patients can order prescriptions online. They don't need insurance. On the other end, a licensed U.S. doctor signs that order and reviews and sends it right back to your door in a matter of days. And now you get 10% off. RSBN 10 is the go-to. RSBN 10. Choose freedom. Choose the right pharmacy. Scan that QR code. No, it's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. There's no waiting rooms, no insurance roadbacks, no red tape, no bureaucracy. Simply life-saving medications ready to go for you and your loved ones at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Also, thank you to angelpaste.com, the miracle cream that is vitamin B infused, non-GMO, no chemicals. It is a fantastic thing to have year-round, but especially during the winter months. Also, the orange option, vitamin C infused, can help with that collagen buildup when you're trying to reset in this 2026. But also, so many vitamin C options out there have those dyes in them and some nasty chemicals. This does not. This is all natural, including a facial spray, which is great for guys and gals to paint the town red, and a great gift for Valentine's Day, especially for the guys out there that might have forgot that, for girlfriends and wives. Yes, Valentine's Day this weekend, so bring on that gift. Send it on in. Angelpaste.com, the miracle that keeps on giving. They are Christian-owned. They hire veterans, and they're based in Spring, Texas, right off that Gulf of America. It's angelpaste.com. At 15 minutes after the hour, we are enjoying covering the latest from the Trump White House, but also the sports and festivities over this weekend, including Super Bowl 60. And we are joined by a dear friend, Junior Amave, number 99 in our hearts and minds, a former nose tackle for the New York Jets and Dallas Cowboys. How are you, my friend? Are you coming to us from American Samoa?
Actually, I just came back from American Samoa, so
Oh,
it's great
right.
to be.
Fantastic. Well, Junior, you have been doing some great work overseas in this United States territory, your home, and of course, Alaska, where you were able to really make your stakes in Pee Wee football to college football and, of course, the National Football League. What are some of your thoughts on the season and Super Bowl 60?
Yeah, it's great to watch the Super Bowl, and that's why America's sport. It's football because it brings not only just the nation together, but it brings the world together. So it's awesome to see some players out there from Alaska that were playing in the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks. Mr. Peely, he grew up there in Alaska. Now he's in the Super Bowl champion. So it's awesome to see local talent go out there and just represent Alaska, put Alaska on the map. So it was a great Super Bowl. A lot of athletes competing, and just really kind of seeing their hard work pay off at the end of the season.
Oh, yes. And to see a young professional like us, Mike McDonald, as the head coach there, I think the third youngest to win a Super Bowl. He actually talked about Small World, Junior, my Bible study, one of my companions there. He mentioned that, oh, I went to school with Mike. So Mikey's a Super Bowl champion now. So we were texting yesterday over that, someone from Roswell, Georgia. So it is truly all 50 states involved in all of this. But I love the narrative, too, of Sam Darnold, Kenneth Wilkinson III. I mean, some great athletes. And all that they did to overcome so many different things, the perseverance behind this, and also giving glory to God. It was just an amazing testament to sport and also to those who believe in our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, it's great that you mentioned that because, we don't know our path and what it looks like. And those that don't know, Sam Darnold actually was playing for the New York Jets. And so those that remember, he was drafted first round at a USC. And the journey he's been on has been amazing. So it just really kind of shows you, God's plans for every player and every person's different. And as long as you stay in there, you stick it through, and you put your trust in him, you may end up with a Super Bowl.
Right. Very true. And I know that it's Drake May, the second youngest to play a quarterback on the other side at 23. Of course, the great Dan Marino, the youngest to play, but then never had the opportunity again to get there. Just shows you the difficulty of getting to that level. Do you think with the Patriots turning it all around so quickly, is there a future that Drake could have leading the team just like Tom Brady did a few years ago?
Whoa, that's kind of a big statement there, especially with Tom Brady in the same sentence. But
Right.
those that paid attention with the Patriots seasons, they kind of saw that they kind of turned that season around with the new head coach coming in with Mike Vrabel, and he's done a very great job in changing the culture. And I think that played a big role in helping a young quarterback like that, is having a culture that is a winning culture. And so he kind of brought that back, as a former Super Bowl champion, Mike Vrabel. He knows how to win. He also knows what the structure, how practice should be, but also how the culture in the building should be to set up a young quarterback like that. So he's got a bright future because he's got great coaches. He's got great leadership and veterans around him. And I think he's going to be okay. As far as Tom Brady, I mean, that's a big big shoes to fill, but he's definitely got a bright future with the supporting cast around him.
Yes, sir. We're excited to watch all of it, and we'll be here for that. What are some of your thoughts on the halftime show? There was some controversy there. Of course, the alternative programming with Turing Point USA. I actually did a simulcast. I watched both of them for myself. I have my own opinions, but just some thoughts on that as this had the viewership of 25 million watching the counter programming, but then also over 100 million people tuning in for the Super Bowl in general to watch Bad Bunny as well. So any thoughts and takeaways from how this is all shaping the culture through music and ultimately sport?
As a former player, NFL player, collegiate player, one of the things I focused on at halftime is the game plan. So when we went through playing football, obviously it showed in the Super Bowl, the best team that came out and did the best and won the Super Bowl is the players and coaches that made adjustments. And so the Super Bowl halftime, players like myself, we really don't really kind of pay attention to those kind of things. But the good thing about it is that you had both programs playing that help serve both areas. And I think there was good and positives on both sides. So it's good to see that the country is brought together by one thing, which was football, which is the Super Bowl, the most watched thing in the world. And I'm just proud as a former player to see the country come together. I know they showed some of the military folks that are out of country that were watching live. So it was, in my heart, I was happy to see that the game of football was bringing everyone together.
Yes, and that America 250, a gorgeous display, that golden sun in Santa Clara, California, just outside of San Francisco in the pregame, of course, the flyover as well, but also that America 250 on the Patriots uniforms as well. So that was very special to see. Now also with, can you display for us, I really didn't know this until I knew you, that so many great players like yourself come from American Samoa. And it's a great way to get into not only the mainland of the United States, but to play this glorious game that is really shaping not only our country, but the world. And I know you were just there recently, continuing to lead, continuing to build young men and to bring them into the fold, and also to address really some Maha issues as well on the island.
Yeah, the great thing about the sport of football is that it touches the life in general. There's life lessons that you can learn in football. And recently I just went back to my home country, which was American Samoa, which is a U.S. territory. Big shout out to the governor there who allowed me to be able to take part of the DOH health initiative to really kind of get them back on track on who they really are. And part of that, football actually plays a big role in history of Samoans and being able to make it to the peak as far as like physical fitness and making it to the high level of NFL. I just posted a thing on my social media that was covered in 60 Minutes where a child that is born of American Samoan descent got a 50% chance more to make it to the NFL. And I mentioned that in my speech that I had back in American Samoa, that it wasn't by accident, it was by design, because the island produces so much resources that it's good for the body. So some of the things that Kenny mentioned about health today were eating real foods. That's really important, especially in our society today, is to eat real foods. And America Samoa has all that. They have the access to the different resources, from the fruits, the vegetables, to the island, to the land, to where they can really kind of turn back some of these narratives with health issues, high blood pressure, obesity. They're actually number one in those categories across the world. And really going back to my country kind of gives you a testament of my ability to play football and that kind of stuff, which the football allowed me to do that. But ultimately, it's the journey that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has put me on through sports, to be able to go through football, but also go back to my home country and help them in those areas.
Amen. And we heard that from Mike McDonald yesterday to Sam Darnold and countless players who are giving all the glory to God. And that was special to see with this entire season of whether it be college or NFL. I mean, even Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner, so much of a testament to his family, and rejected roughly 130 times to then go play for Cal and ultimately Indiana, and now making himself eligible for the National Football League. Junior, did you have a great halftime, or not even halftime, but commercial that really stood out to you throughout the game?
Yeah, actually, it was me and my wife. We were watching, and I think it was the Backstreet Boys, and it was like they were doing a thing where you could sing along, and
right.
My wife was the whole time. And then at the end of it, it was an AI commercial. She started laughing
right.
because it's funny how AI now is starting to take over, and now the commercials are going AI. I mean, it looked like about 90% of the commercials were AI. So that to me was pretty funny, because the Backstreet Boys were kind of like the time where I was growing up as a teen, and then all of a sudden we're seeing it years later where it's taking over with AI. So that was pretty funny.
That was probably my favorite as well. The whole room started singing along, and then we said, "Oh wait, this is," and you expect the cheap gimmick, but it was fun while it lasted.
Right.
So, Junior Amave, a pleasure to have you on the show. And is there one thing that should stick out to us as a country going into the next season? Because we're about to approach our 250th birthday, but also, like you mentioned, football is such a big part of all of our lives, especially where I am in the southern part of the United States, but even all the way up there in Alaska. It's affected countless lives. How can that boil over into not only the culture, but how we can perhaps become more united as we approach our birthday?
Yeah, one thing that I can kind of give advice to those that are listening, whether you're playing in the Super Bowl, whether you're serving the country in the military, whether you're the president of the United States, one thing that we ought to do is show Jesus love. And I think that love covers all. And so as we continue to do our daily activities, we got to be an example so that others can see Jesus through us. And that's through the work that we do. That's through the relationships that we do. That's everything that we do in life. And so that when they see the way we live, they can see Jesus. So as long as you show love, they'll see Jesus.
Amen. And I could say from having had the pleasure of working with you at one point in my career, you are doing just that on a daily basis, sir. It's Junior Amave, all the way from the great state of Alaska. And, of course, 99 in our hearts and minds, a former nose tackle in the NFL. Please come back and see us soon at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Sounds good, brother.
God bless you, my friend. We are covering the latest from the Trump White House today. Thank you for joining us as we thank our great sponsors here, mypillow.com/RSBN. We know the master marketer, Mike Lindell, running for governor of Minnesota State. That's where Junior played his college ball. Now going as low as $99.99 for a mattress and topper sales. Promo code's easy to remember, RSBN, plus free shipping. As President Trump said, Mike Lindell is the master marketer. Again, mypillow.com/RSBN. Call today. Do not delay. It's 800-836-7566. Support Mike Lindell and Right Side Broadcasting Network. You could shop now at mypillow.com/RSBN. Save with code RSBN. Also, if you like what you see at the network, we are your go-to live desk, also your rally network. As we gear up for midterm 2026, we are your election headquarters here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Support us right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network by visiting rsbnetwork.com/donate. You may also text RSBN to 801-801. If you'd like to send a check or money order, that's 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, the loveliest village on the plains, Auburn, Alabama, 36830, 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you for supporting us on the right side of history as we seek to serve you, to bring you unbridled access, no edits, just the full speeches, the full press conferences, the hearings, everything involving your 45th and 47th President of the United States, your 50th Vice President, and, of course, Mr. Vance, Mr. Rubio, and family members in Italy for those opening ceremonies, and your 119th Congress. Will they be able to fund the government? We'll see this week. But thank you for supporting us here on the right side of history. As we get to the bottom of the hour, we are, again, covering everything from the Trump White House, what we can expect this week, and also some of the latest truths from the President of the United States. In the meantime, we'll take a quick commercial break. Stick with us here on the right side of history as we showcase some more sponsors here at the network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Robert McNeely as we cover the latest from the Trump White House. And the Vice President, J.D. Vance, had remarks a couple of hours ago with the Prime Minister of Armenia. We do know that this administration very committed to dialoguing with everyone around the world to not only make America safe again, but to bring common sense to so many different conflicts that have taken place over the course of the last several years. And Armenia is no different in that pursuit of world peace. A wonderful, beautiful country there. And the Vice President dialoguing with the Prime Minister, and we have that playback for you now.
Ստորագրվում է միջուկային էներգիայի խաղաղ նպատակներով օգտագործման ոլորտում Հայաստանի Հանրապետության կառավարության եւ Ամերիկայի Միացյալ Նահանգների կառավարության միջև համագործակցության մասին համաձայնագրի բանակցությունների ավարտի վերաբերյալ համատեղ հայտարարությունը։ Հայկական կողմից հայտարարությունը ստորագրում է Հայաստանի Հանրապետության վարչապետ Նիկոլ Փաշինյանը։ Ամերիկյան կողմից հայտարարությունը ստորագրում է ԱՄՆ փոխնախագահ J.D. Vance-ը։ Joint statement on the completion of negotiation on an agreement for peaceful nuclear cooperation between the United States of America and the Republic of Armenia is being signed. From the Armenian side, the statement is being signed by His Excellency Mr. Nikol Pashinyan, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia. From the American side, the statement is being signed by the Honorable J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States. Այժմ տեղի կունենա մամուլի համատեղ հայտարարությունը. A joint press statement will now take place.
Honorable Vice President J.D. Vance, esteemed members of the U.S. delegation, dear colleagues, it is a great honor to host today the Vice President of the United States of America, J.D. Vance, and his delegation, who are on an official visit to Armenia. This visit is of truly historic and symbolic importance. This is the first visit by a U.S. Vice President to the Republic of Armenia. It takes place in the context of unprecedented realities of establishing peace and stability in the South Caucasus. It reflects the depth of the strong and strategic partnership forged between the Republic of Armenia and the United States of America. Dear Mr. Vice President, our first meeting at the White House on February 7, 2025 had great importance for the events that subsequently unfolded. Taking this opportunity, I would like to once again express the gratitude of the government of the Republic of Armenia to the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump, and also to you for organizing the Washington Peace Summit on August 8, 2025, through which we gave a strong boost to Armenia-US bilateral relations. And with the personal involvement of President Trump, we established peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan. After the Washington Peace Summit, President Aliyev and I nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize through a joint letter, and I have great hope that the President will rightfully receive this award in 2026, the Nobel Peace Prize. Vice President J.D. Vance's visit is a crucial step in institutionalizing peace and expanding the Armenia-US strategic partnership. I presented to Mr. Vance the positive processes underway in the South Caucasus, as well as the details of the discussions that took place a few days ago in Abu Dhabi between me and the President of Azerbaijan. The discussions were aimed at potential new steps for strengthening peace between our two countries. On this occasion, I also reaffirmed Armenia's commitment to supporting the peace and peacekeeping mission of the U.S. government, including the activities of the Board of Peace, the charter of which I had the honor of signing on January 22 this year during the official ceremony in Davos. I would also like to note that I have received and gladly accepted President Trump's invitation to participate in the inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace on February 19. The Vice President and I have both underlined the importance of consistently implementing one of the most important achievements of the Washington Peace Summit, the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity project, in accordance with the framework for the implementation of the TRIP project, signed on January 13 this year between the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Armenia and the U.S. Secretary of State. We reaffirmed that this project, in addition to the most serious peace dividends, will also have regional and global significance, developing unhindered communication between West and East. We expressed our satisfaction with the preparatory works for the implementation of the project, as well as the progress of the feasibility studies that were launched a few days ago. We also discussed with Mr. Vance the prospects for complete deblocking of the region as essential guarantees of stability and peace in the South Caucasus. I believe that in this context, it is also of great importance to bring to its logical conclusion the ongoing dialogue in the Armenia-Turkey normalization process, including the opening of the Gyumri-Kars Railway. We jointly underscored also the significant achievements in bilateral relations, including in the fields of artificial intelligence and innovative technologies. I am pleased to note that the memorandum signed between Armenia and the United States on August 8 in the field of semiconductors and artificial intelligence will bring to life the mega project of the company Firebird, building an artificial intelligence plant and data center in Armenia. In this regard, I should note that the recent approval of the issuance of export permits for the next batch of super powerful chips produced by NVIDIA for exportation to Armenia I hope that the close and transparent cooperation established between Armenia and the United States in the high-tech sector will allow us to further develop and strengthen the mutually beneficial partnership between Armenian and U.S. companies. In addition, we signed with Vice President Vance just a few minutes ago today the joint statement on the completion of negotiations on the 123 agreement for peaceful nuclear cooperation between the governments of Armenia and the United States. This agreement will open a new chapter in the deepening energy partnership between Armenia and the United States. It will contribute to the diversification of Armenia's energy resources by implementing safe and innovative technologies. I also expressed my gratitude for the long-standing support provided to Armenia by the United States in the field of nuclear security, nuclear safety, and I expressed willingness to further develop sectoral cooperation in areas of greatest importance to both countries. We have also made significant progress in the fields of Armenia-U.S. military and defense partnership. In continuation of the bilateral long-standing security cooperation and the Eagle Partnership military exercises ongoing for 3 consecutive years now, Armenia acquired from the United States VBAT unmanned aerial vehicles, the effectiveness of which has been proven through extensive use experience and which will significantly contribute to strengthening our defense capabilities. I expressed hope that this transaction, implemented under the U.S.'s foreign military sales program, will serve as a basis for expanding our future cooperation. We noted that Armenia and the United States are committed to developing a mutually beneficial partnership in securing the extraction and supply chains of critical minerals and rare earths. Naturally, we also touched on institutional reforms in Armenia and the continuation of the long-standing support by the United States in this area, in particular, aspects of strengthening the state structures of Armenia and developing their capacity. In relation to this, I highlighted the importance of support provided to Armenia for capacity development under the Crossroads of Peace program. We both emphasized that relations between Armenia and the United States are stronger today than ever, and we expressed our commitment to further develop them for the benefit of our peoples. Honorable Vice President, I would like to once again welcome you, your wife, the esteemed Usha Vance, and your beautiful family. I say to you, Bari Galust Hayastan, welcome to Armenia, and express our gratitude for your commitment to further developing the strong ties between Armenia and the United States, and for your personal contribution. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. It's great to be here in Armenia, and I'm especially grateful that you described the Second Lady as the esteemed Usha Vance. You won me some brownie points there, though I think she's going to expect me to call her the esteemed Usha Vance in the future, so you created expectations too. This is a beautiful country, a country that the President of the United States is very proud to partner with, that the President of the United States is very proud to have a great relationship with, and I know that President Trump sends his best regards both to you personally, but also to the people of Armenia. And what President Trump and the Prime Minister have accomplished together is really visionary. Peace is not made by cautious people. Peace is not made by people who are too focused on the past. Peace is made by people who are focused on the future. And because the Prime Minister made such great progress and has had such a great relationship with both me and the President of the United States, we're not just making peace for Armenia, we're also creating real prosperity for Armenia and the United States together. So much of the great economic cooperation that we want to announce today would not have been possible without your leadership, without the peace that you committed your country to, and without, of course, the President of the United States' leadership. And so I'm grateful for all of those things, because I really do believe that tonight marks a new beginning for Armenia and the United States and the partnership that our country can have together. Now, I want to announce a few things, and the Prime Minister announced a few of them But I want to reiterate what we've done here and what we're going to continue to work on together. So first of all, he mentioned this incredible tech deal. The United States was proud to issue a number of export licenses for the sale of high-powered NVIDIA chips. Now, what does that mean? That means new markets for American workers and for American businesses, but it also means greater prosperity for the people of Armenia. These are chips that simply do not exist in most countries in the world. They are now going to be developed, and the data centers using those chips are going to be built, and in fact are already being built because of the Prime Minister's leadership, and we're very happy to partner on that. It will mean great things for American workers, and I think great things for the people of Armenia as well. We're also very proud to announce that our nations have completed negotiations on a 1-2-3 civil nuclear cooperation agreement. Now, once that is completely stood up, it'll pave the way for American and Armenian companies to strike deals on civil nuclear projects. That means up to $5 billion in initial U.S. exports, plus an additional $4 billion in long-term support through fuel and maintenance contracts. This is the classic win-win for both Armenia and the United States of America. It means stronger energy security for my own country, and it also, I think, means stronger energy security for Armenia, and it's also going to create a lot of new jobs back home in the United States. It means small modular reactors. American technology is going to be coming to this country, and again, it's one of the few countries where we feel confident enough to invest at this level, to send this kind of technology, and it's happening because of the Prime Minister's leadership. I'm also very proud to talk about the TRIP Enterprise Fund. I think most of you here are familiar with TRIP, with the historic transformation that it's going to bring to the region, but let me say a couple of additional things. It is going to open up a whole new world of trade, transit, and energy flows in this region of the world, and it will create unprecedented connections between Armenia and its neighbors. Now, that is great for the prosperity of the people of Armenia, but it is also great for the enduring project of peace, because when you create these interconnected economies, energy sectors, and so forth, it means that this region can have an enduring peace. We don't just want to make peace with the Prime Minister and the President's leadership. We also want to make sure that that peace endures, and that is something that we are accomplishing here today. A couple of other things that I want to announce. There's a lot. This is a busy agenda here, and we're very proud of it. The TRIP Fund, what it will do is means that a lot of private capital is going to flow into building railroads, into building pipelines, and again, to building the interconnectedness that will create real prosperity for the region, but also allow the peace agreement to stick. I also was very happy with the Prime Minister just a couple of minutes ago to see some of the new drone technology that we will be selling to Armenia. As President Trump knows very well, the very best way to ensure that you have peace is to establish real deterrence. And the best way to establish real deterrence is with the best military technology in the world, and the United States has that. And for the first time, we are announcing a major sale of military technology, $11 million in surveillance drone technology to the Armenians and to our good friend, the Prime Minister. He's going to use that to secure his country and to make sure that the peace that we're creating sticks. That means for the United States, more jobs and more investment in our own defense technology sector. So let me just close here by saying that what's happening here today is truly historic. I am proud to be the first Vice President of the United States to visit this beautiful country. I'm very excited to get to see a little bit of it tomorrow. I'm very excited about the dinner that we're going to have. And I know that I'm the last thing standing between that dinner, so I'll try to speak very fast here over the closing couple of minutes. But this is one of the oldest Christian countries in the entire world, a true bedrock of Christian civilization and culture. As a devout Christian myself, I know the meaning of this country to the entire world and to the religion that the Prime Minister and I share. So to the people of Armenia and the great Prime Minister, I want to thank you for your partnership. President Trump is committed to this partnership, and so am I, and we're thrilled to be here to take the next step. God bless you. And I know now we'll take a couple of questions. Maybe Prime Minister, you can start.
Մեծարգո պարոն վարչապետ, մեծարգո պարոն փոխնախագահ, հարգելի ներկաներ, այժմ մենք բացում ենք հարցակա հարցերի համար.
We now open the floor for questions. 2 questions from each side.
Now we will open the floor for the questions. 2 questions from the representative of United States media and 2 from Armenia. And the first question from our colleagues from United States. Առաջինը Միացյալ Նահանգների մեր գործընկերների կողմից, խնդրեմ.
Mr. Prime Minister, can you let us know if in your conversations you discussed Iran and the situation in the region and what the goals and objectives would be of the United States and Armenia given the recent diplomatic efforts?
I am sure you noticed from our statements already that the Republic of Armenia and the U.S. share a common objective in our cooperation, and that objective is peace and stability. All our engagements, all our activities with the U.S. are aimed at peace and stability. And I am confident that this is an achievable goal. We are seeing now, and I had the opportunity of saying this in my opening speech in the bilateral meeting, that it's very important to note that the peace that was declared on August 8, 2025 is now happening in reality on the ground. It is taking shape. And allow me to say that the cooperation between Armenia and the United States is a cooperation that brings peace, and so it will be always. Thank you. Next question.
From Armenian side.
Public TV, Irina Makarchan. Mr. Vice President, my question is for you. Mr. Vice President, although you did refer to the TRIP project in your speech, but I would like to ask you for some details. How would you assess current progress? How much investment is expected or planned to be made by the U.S. in the project, and what economic benefits do you expect of this project? Thank you.
Well, in terms of the amount of investment, we've talked to a number of partners in the region, but also across the world who are very interested in it. They think that it's a very fertile investment opportunity. We actually spent a fair amount of time talking today about how we can make things go faster. I think the Prime Minister wants things to go as fast as possible because, again, this interconnectedness, this economic development is good for prosperity, but it's also good for peace. The United States is certainly going to play a very positive and constructive role in this, but I don't think that money is the issue. I think there's actually a lot of capital interest in this particular project. There are a lot of people across the world who think that they can make a good return on investment by investing in Armenia and investing in this TRIP project. I think the question is really, how do we get the peace deal into a good next phase? How do we keep the Prime Minister in a good place where he can start to focus on the future? I know he has an election coming up. I won't talk about that, but to the extent my endorsement means anything, he certainly has it, because this is a guy who can build the long-term partnership to make this kind of a thing stick. This has not happened overnight, but I think we've already made great progress in just the months since August 8th.
Thank you. The next question.
Next questions from the colleagues from the United States.
Thank you. Mr. Vice President, on the Iran negotiations, would the U.S. allow limited uranium enrichment, or is no enrichment whatsoever a red line in negotiations?
Well, I think the president's going to make the ultimate determination about where we draw the red lines in the negotiations. If you go back to the original negotiation that happened between us and the Iranians, the president was trying very, very hard to actually strike a constructive deal that would have been good for the United States. But frankly, the entire administration agreed if the Iranians were smart enough to have made that agreement, then it would have been good for them too. We're obviously much more focused tonight on the issues related to U.S.-Armenia cooperation, but I'll let the president speak to exactly where he wants to set the lines of the negotiation. As you guys know, he typically does that privately. He doesn't announce what he's going to do in a negotiation because he thinks that it constrains him in private. He's going to have, I think, a lot of good conversations with his team and with others in the days and weeks to come. I'll let the president set the terms of those negotiations, but with all due respect to our friends in the media, I think the president is going to preserve decisional space for himself, and that means not revealing too many of his cards publicly.
I have one more follow-up on the Iran negotiations. Has the violent crackdown of protesters in Iran been part of those negotiations? Does the U.S. Want to push for any kind of human rights assurances to be part of a deal?
Well, I think as the president has said publicly, it's already very much been part of the negotiations that we've had. It's one of the things the president made a very strong demand is that there were prisoners who were going to be executed. The crackdown was, of course, very brutal and violent. And as the president and the entire administration has said, we stand with the people of Iran. We stand with the right of peaceful protest across the world, and certainly people who want to exercise that right in Iran. But absolutely, the president has made that part of the conversations that he's had, not just with the Iranians, but with people all across the region. I'm sure that will continue.
Եվ հաջորդ հարցը հայկական կողմից, and another question from Armenian side.
Thank you. Armen Press News Agency, Anna Kazirian. Mr. Prime Minister, you said in your statement, after the document signed on August 8, up to now, how much work has been done. And you also generally explained the areas in which we should have expectations in the future. Generally, could you please assess the current level of Armenia-US relations, the current progress of activities, and in the near future, what specifically should we expect? Well, I think this site underlines the level of current relations between Armenia and the US. Our current level of relations is higher than ever, but it's important, as we underscored with the Vice President, the great potential for further developing our relations. Indeed, we are at the highest point today. But the agenda that we referred to in our statements, just implementing that agenda would multiply the scope of our cooperation. And this is very important. We have established a strategic partnership, but it's important to note we are now able to demonstrate concrete manifestations of that strategic partnership, which are tangible, which are visible, and of course, my special appreciation goes to United States President Donald Trump for his personal engagement, but also a few times today, I have already thanked and thanked Vice President J.D. Vance for his personal engagement, because we know on February 7, 2025, the meeting at the White House and the very meaningful discussion and the conversation we had back then was pivotal for the subsequent events. And I expressed special gratitude to the Vice President, because during those days when we were having that meeting, how can I put this correctly? The White House was still transforming. I might even say that the Vice President was probably hadn't moved in fully to that work environment. And I very highly appreciate that under those circumstances, he considered that to be an important conversation. So calmly, quietly, for quite a long time, we thoroughly discussed the opportunities that and the agenda that could reach us to today's point. And it is worthy of particular appreciation in that environment. And when I got back to Yerevan, the impulses that the Vice President of the United States had given instructions appropriately, these impulses had reached Yerevan before I reached Yerevan. And it is a sign of a particular manifestation of responsibility and professionalism, for which, of course, I express my words of appreciation and my token of respect to the Vice President. Thank you for the questions, Excellencies. Thank you for the responses.
Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Mr. Vice President, to be clear on Iran, are military strikes still on the table? Mr. Vice President, are military strikes...
Vice President J.D. Vance there with the Armenian Prime Minister, Mr. Nikol Pashinyan, and a very Christian country was mentioned there, and former caucus states of the USSR right there next to Azerbaijan and just to the north of Iran, of course, to the west of them, Turkey. So a hotbedded area for differences in religion, different customs and practices, but this constitutional republic, truly a gorgeous nation and good people partnering with the United States there, as the Vice President outlined. Ultimately, many of the decisions moving forward will be by that, of course, of President Donald Trump, but there on behalf of the administration, the Vice President laying out drone deals and also the cause for peace, which will not only create American jobs, but prosperity for the region. And again, bearing in peace through strength and the Make America Safe Again movement by constricting that of the Iranian influence in the region, and in turn, some of the other challenges that you have there, including Russia and Ukraine, not far from Armenia and Azerbaijan as well. An area of growth that the United States clearly will be having in the future with that partnership. Thank you very much to our sponsors here on the right side of history, angelpaste.com, the great Christian-owned company which hires veterans out of Spring, Texas, and really all over the country, but they are based right off of the Gulf of America. And there they have that original Miracle Cream, the vitamin B infused, non-GMO, non-chemical cream that I use on a daily basis. Great year round, but especially during these winter months. They also have an orange option that's vitamin C infused, non-GMO, no chemical. So ditch those packets, the emergencies, those other things out there that have the red dyes and that are not Maha, and choose the miracle that is angelpaste.com. Amongst all of their glorious products, you might be interested in the natural facial spray as well. Gifts for guys and gals with this weekend coming up fast. I know it's Monday, but we will have Valentine's Day this weekend. So a great gift idea for perhaps your significant other. Angelpaste.com. It is the miracle that keeps on giving. Again, they're Christian-owned. They hire veterans, and they love this great country of ours. They share our values. Thank you to angelpaste.com. Of course, All Family Pharmacy is there for you with all of the storms happening and severe weather disrupting travel, deliveries, and packages from getting to you. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN has seized the moment with code RSBN10. 10% off right now for you. Choose freedom. Choose the right pharmacy. Many Americans are being reminded of how important prescriptions really are and having them ready to go during cold and flu season. So antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, hydrochloroquine, NAD+, and those emergency medical kits. In fact, over 300 essential medications there for you at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Imagine already having a flu medication kit at home or even blood pressure medication ready to go when a storm or an emergency hits. All Family Pharmacy helps make that possible. This is how they do that. They have a U.S. licensed doctor on the other end to review your order with a prescription. They'll write it out if necessary, but no insurance, no red tape, no hassle. A great thing to give you, the patient, full power and access to off-label generics that matter so much that sometimes your pharmacy down the street does not prescribe. So again, patients can order prescription medications online ahead of time. The licensed doctor reviews it right here in the United States. It's shipped right to your door, all via allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. No waiting rooms, no insurance hassles, no red tape, no bureaucracy, no last-minute panic, no urgent care. Seen that out the door these last few weeks with cold and flu season. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN leading the way, and 10% off your entire order with code RSBN10. Thank you for supporting us here on the right side of history as we cover the latest from the Trump White House and some of the stuff that President Trump has been writing on, of course, Truth Social. President Trump meeting with cut number 7, the president of Honduras, over the weekend at Mar-a-Lago. President Trump stating, "I had a very important meeting with my friend and the president of Honduras, Mr. Asfura, today at Mar-a-Lago." This was on Saturday in Palm Beach, Florida. "It was my great honor to support Tito's campaign. Once I gave him my strong endorsement, he won his election. Tito and I share many of the same America First values. We have a close partnership on security, working together to counter dangerous cartels and drug traffickers and deporting illegal migrants and gang members out of the United States." We discussed many other issues pertaining to our countries, including investment and trade. He loves the people of Honduras and is focused on their health, their well-being, education, and economic transparency, and prosperity. And I look forward to welcoming President Asfoura back to the United States. Congratulations on your great victory, President Donald John Trump. And we see that populism on the right side of history growing in popularity throughout the world. President Trump also lending voice to what might be changing here in the new media and those mainstream outlets and bigger companies that might end up merging. With cut number 8, Mr. Producer, President Trump talking about what we do here in the media world. We need more competition against the enemy, the fake news, national TV networks. Letting good deals get done like Nexstar and Tanya will help knock out the fake news because there will be a more competition and at a higher and more sophisticated level. Those that are opposed don't fully understand how good the concept of this deal is for them, but they will in the future know that's a done deal. President Donald John Trump. And giving you the background of these two companies, more on the, you could argue, conservative side of things of the larger media companies out there. So a potential merger between the two may be very exciting for getting out the truth ultimately. And what was special about this weekend, not only the great competitions in the sports from the Olympics to the Super Bowl and also the Waste Management Open out in Phoenix, Arizona, but there was a moment of prayer at church for journalists. So I really thought that was a special time to have that so that the truth would get out there. That was the prayer for journalists to get the truth out there and to not have necessarily a bias that would hide what's been revealed to us, just to report it as is. And sadly, we've seen the mainstream over the course of the last decade or so, how different that has become. And how some have simply not told the truth whatsoever or actually attempted to hide it from the American people. And that's why so many people, we think here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, are on the side of common sense and the president, because ever since he came down that golden escalator, there were some networks, some outlets did not even want to air what was happening at these early rallies. But our owner, our founder, Joe Seals, he wanted to show what was actually happening out there. The big crowds, the big speeches, the excitement behind a political movement really unlike anything we've seen in the United States in a very, very long time, with this right-wing populism on the rise. And at the end of the day, President Trump states it best. It's simply common sense. As with cut number 9, President Trump focused on a big win for the great state of Maine and all of New England. Hard to believe that you vote for Democrats who did this to you, but not for Trump, who gets you out of the environmental and economic malaise. Vote Republican from now on. For far too long, the radical left has put burdensome and unnecessary restrictions on everything, including our great American fishermen. In my first term, I reversed the prohibitions placed on commercial fishing, but Joe Biden, or whoever was using the auto pen, foolishly reinstated them since day one, and I have taken historic action to end these disastrous policies. And today I signed a presidential proclamation to unleash commercial fishing in the Atlantic Ocean, advancing the America First fishing policy. I am restoring nearly 5,000 square miles of fishing access off the coast of New England, which will revitalize our fishing industry and strengthen our booming economy. Congratulations to all our great fishermen. Please remember, I did this for you against strong Democrat opposition. Vote Republican in the midterms, President Donald John Trump. A side note of that, I saw that a lot doing the local news all the way up in Anchorage, Alaska. Of course, the great state of Alaska, where I met last hour's interview Junior Amave, a former football star, nose tackle for the New York Jets and Dallas Cowboys. And fishing, a big industry all the way on the other side of the country, way up there in Alaska. And during the auto pen, that was the big problem, was that the Chinese Communist Party breaking international law and overfishing in those areas where you can find that snow crab and amazing halibut. And also, if you go closer inlet and through the Cook Inlet and also through those gorgeous fjords that make up southern Alaska, the salmon that exist up there, countless different species. Yes, the Chinese Communist Party coming in, but now with this administration saying, no, we are going to enforce international treaties and also that in maritime waters. And we see that our fishermen can now flourish once again, both in Maine, Alaska, and throughout our coastal regions right here at home. President Trump is taking aim peacefully and patriotically once again at the Unselect Committee with cut number 10. If you remember those rhinos and globalists, including the Democrat politicians there on that committee, as President Trump mentioned, that nobody realized that the crooked Democrat politicians of the Unselect Committee of political thugs and hacks, plus 2 Republicans, who were worse than the Democrats. Wacky Liz Cheney, she's becoming just like Rosie O'Donnell, the wee lass, who is currently residing in Ireland in order to escape her Trump derangement syndrome, and crying Adam Kinzinger, a sick and demented man who was cast aside by his Republican mates. We're given pardons by crooked Joe Biden for the crime of deleting and destroying all evidence having to do with the January 6th investigation. The reason they made this criminal move was because it proved conclusively that I did nothing wrong. And that's too bad, because perhaps the strongest power that a president has is the pardon, but it shows how crooked they were when they sought protection for their crimes against humanity. These were criminals and that were released by a president who did everything he could to destroy our country, including the massive illegal use of the auto pen. So that was a big question I asked President Trump almost a year ago on Air Force One in regards to the auto pen and what was coming of it, as reports came out early in the administration that these could have been illegal signatures from the prior president, or that he did not know what he was signing. In fact, we have the eyewitness testimony of House Speaker Mike Johnson, not soon after him becoming the Speaker of the House, where he finally had the opportunity to meet with President Joe Biden. And then it was with, at the time, Vice President Kamala Harris and many in that administration. Finally, the president asking them to leave, the 46th president, just to have some time with Mike, as he put it. And when it came to a direct executive order on environmental regulations pertaining to drilling for oil and natural gas, the former president mentioning to the House Speaker, Mike, I did not do that. And the Speaker of the House saying, Mr. President, yes, you did. We can go to your secretary, your clerk here, and get all of the documentation. And he said, I did not do that. I was not aware of it. So someone is telling the truth there and someone is not. And I have to say, I would agree with how honest and caring our House Speaker has been in a number of close issues and tough decisions that come across his desk and his dais. I have to say that was quite a scary moment to know that the 46th president had the cognitive decline that became very evident to the American people. And within 107 days, the autobiography of the former vice president, I think it became very clear to us that the Democrat Party perhaps was enacting a coup in order to remove someone they did not want and to put their person in office. But you, the American people, were much smarter and knew that this was not exactly the best thing for the country. And then the rest is history. November 5th of 2024, re-electing President Trump to the second non-consecutive term. And look what's happened as a result. With cut number 11, 50,000, the Dow Jones skyrocketing. As the experts said it, President stating that if it hit 50,000 on the Dow by the end of my term, I would have done a great job, but I hit 50,000 today, and this is on February 6th, 3 years ahead of schedule. Remember that for the midterms, because the Democrats will crash the economy. And it's very true, because if you didn't know, now you do know. With cut number 12, this video from the President of the United States and his communications team.
We don't do subtle. We choose bold.
For the first time in history, flying over the rope of America.
We don't limit our ambition. Never have. We build big. We move fast. We bet on ourselves and don't don't apologize for winning. We say what we mean, and we stand by it.
If you don't know, now you know.
We are fully, proudly, and unapologetically American.
And the Peace Through Strength agenda being exported during these Olympic Games, with a delegation being led by the Vice President J.D. Vance, as he's now in Armenia, but was in Italy with our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Could it be the 2028 ticket as a preview with their families in that great state of Italy, not only visiting with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, a friend of the United States and someone who has been fighting for right-wing populism in her own right, but also taking in the Olympic Games with cut number 13. And thank you to mypillow.com/RSBN. We love our sponsors here on the right side of history. And there's no better master marketer, as President Trump says it, about the latest Republican gubernatorial candidate in Minnesota, CEO Mike Lindell, who is a fighter for election integrity and everything that matters here in this great country of ours. He cares so much about our constitutional republic, the foundations that made us the greatest civilization in the world. And as we celebrate America 250, you might as well get a new mattress and topper with a sale unlike any other for as low as $99.99 plus free shipping. Call today. Do not delay. It's 800-836-7566. It's mypillow.com/RSBN with promo code RSBN. So easy to remember. Support Mike Lindell on the right side of history by shopping now at mypillow.com/RSBN. 2,000 products. Yes, 2,000 products. Some of my personal favorites, the My Slippers, also the My Coffee, free and fair traded, and the My Pillow 1.0. I still have plenty of them, and I need to try the My Pillow 2.0. I'm hearing that's great too, especially with the embroidered celebration of the American way and also our great faith, which has sustained us for nearly 250 years. Have you tried the Giza Dream Sheets? Nothing like them. They're from the Mediterranean, made right here in the US of A, and just a tremendous way to get a better night's rest and to have an even earlier and bright morning with mypillow.com/RSBN. Right now, the mattress and topper sale for as low as $99.99. Thank you to Mike Lindell for supporting us here on the right side of history. And with those storms and severe weather across the country as we are trying to get out of winter here, Puxatawny Phil, he called for 6 more weeks of winter last week on Groundhog Day. So make sure you stock up on allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. With RSBN 10, that's RSBN 10. Choose freedom, choose the right pharmacy. Scan that QR code now because there's been disruptions in travel, deliveries, even access to care. Many Americans being reminded how important prescription care is and to have the right to try most favored nation status, those generic off-label options. Imagine already having flu medication kits and Tamiflu and also blood pressure medication or any essentials that you need right there for you stocked up when there is an emergency instead of trying to refill those prescriptions when a storm hits. Now, All Family Pharmacy helps make that happen by having a licensed U.S. doctor on the other end to write that prescription, get that ready for you, and to send it right back to your door in a quick amount of time. This is something that has no waiting rooms. There's no red tape, no bureaucracy. If you do not have insurance, that's okay. So skip urgent care lines and go right to where it matters with all your essential medications, from antibiotics to antivirals, Tamiflu, also NAD+, methylene blue, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, and many, many more, including emergency medical kits. In fact, over 300 essential medications for you and yours to stay safe during the winter seasons and really year-round. They offer, again, antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, so important this time of year with the cold and flu season. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, code RSBN10 for 10% off now with this online leading pharmacy committed to you and your family. It's in the name, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. We'll take a quick commercial break on the right side of history as we cover the latest from the Trump White House for some more sponsorships and commercials of great companies looking out for you at home. I'm Robert McNeely. Always a joy to be with you on this Monday, February 9th, 2026.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely.
Welcome back to RSBN. We are covering the latest from the Trump White House on this Monday, right after Super Bowl 60. We hope you had a wonderful time with family and friends. One of the largest viewing events in the entire country each year, in and out, with plenty of narratives happening, not only for both teams, the Seattle Seahawks, led by Sam Darnold, someone who has passed by many teams, including the New York Jets, to the Minnesota Vikings and others, and now finding that football glory with the 12th man in the Seattle Seahawks, with his coach from the great Peach State of Georgia, and then that Drake May, the second youngest, a very tough outing, but I'm sure we'll see the New England Patriots around there. They've been around a few times and had some classic teams over the years. Also, that Waste Management Open way out there in Phoenix, Arizona, with quite a change in leads into a playoff, and then also led to a social media influencer being banned from all PGA events in the future. If you know, you know. Gets a little bit wild out there in the desert this time of year with that legendary 16th hole. It's the greatest show on grass, as they call it. And our thoughts and prayers also with Lindsey Vonn. She took a bad spill going out there and competing at 41 years young. Also 10 days roughly after a tear in her ACL on her good knee, if you follow all of that skiing. And I just really enjoy watching the Winter Olympics because I watch it and think, although I enjoy skiing, there is no way I'm going down the Dolomites with double black diamonds straight down. They're going at 70 plus miles per hour. And it's a feat of not only the human ability, but also the mind in order to do these incredible sports. And our team there, the U.S. of A, bringing home some gold already. So we hope you're enjoying all of those competitions, as there's competitions right here at home. This week is big on Capitol Hill, as you see our gorgeous Capitol there in the sunshine of this wintry day in Washington, D.C., the federal city, dealing with votes for funding to come up. We have the government now funded through February 13th, with Democrats digging their heels in the sand over DHS funding, of course, creating another manufactured outrage over simple law enforcement and Title VIII, something that many Republicans and Democrat voters across the country seemingly very happy with, as we've had one of the safest countries and a much lower murder rate, all the way dating back to the year 1900. So much success happening there and simply executing and following the law. But of course, you have to have an opposition party that is anti-American there on Capitol Hill. And on the other side of the aisle, the voter ID and proof of citizenship debate with the Save America Act, cut number 14. This detailing right there from the President of the United States and Caroline Leavitt, the superstar, highlighting it last week in the James S. Brady briefing room.
The president is calling on Republicans again and Democrats to pass the SAVE Act. I will reiterate, requirement for voter ID to vote. That should be something that no American should oppose. In fact, we know that the vast majority of Americans support it. Requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote, which is not hard to do. We should be able to do that in this country. If you want to register to vote in the United States of America, you have to be a citizen in the United States of America.
But if you know that it's about common sense for this administration, and they have a creative way of getting it out there, not only through the mainstream outlets, but also the new media. And we've seen a Brady briefing room on a weekly basis, really packed, jam-packed, in fact. It's a very small room if you go in there. And then you see all these different bodies from new outlets to traditional outlets and everyone in between, and that new media seat that highlights getting the message out to the American people. And with cut number 15, this video, President Trump perhaps the messenger in chief as he seeks to make America great again.
I may only have one match,
but I can make an explosion.
This is our fight song. Hey. Take back my life song. Prove we're all right song. Hey. My gun was turned on. Starting right now. I'll be strong. I'll play my fight song. And I don't really care if nobody else believes. So still got life in me.
And we are all very nostalgic about the Olympics, of course, and showcasing patriotism across the world, as the vice president is in Armenia, but was in Italy for those opening ceremonies with a star-studded group in 4 different locations throughout northern Italy. Milan and Cortina playing the main hosts of these games. But the event itself had athletes spread out throughout the country, throughout the opening ceremonies. In case you missed it, cut number 16, the American team coming out and showcasing that it's a golden era as we celebrate 250 years of our country.
United States of America. Stati Uniti d'America.
We are ready. Here they come. The arrival of Team USA. 232 athletes competing at the Olympics, set to be the U.S.'s largest ever team at a Winter Olympics. representing 32 states. You think about it, guys. Athletes from towns like Land Grove, Vermont, population of 200, to New York City. Yeah. Vice President J.D. Vance.
And also, what are we fighting for as a country, not only internationally, but domestically? We have people who have been ostracized in law enforcement, very sadly, and they've looked at these people as their outsiders. But our ICE agents are those who live amongst our communities, just as it's mentioned there in the opening ceremonies, from a place like a Lancaster, Vermont, all the way to Los Angeles, California, everywhere in between, 32 states represented by our athletes. About every community has some tie to people in the blue, whether it's local or state or ICE agents to federal authorities. These people are joining these forces, coming back, not only our military, but also our police forces, because we have an administration that is allowing, as FBI Director Kash Patel has put it so aptly, allowing good cops to be cops. And with cut number 17, a good reminder that ICE agents might just be your neighbors, their husbands and mothers and people that just want to take care of this great country.
They're friends and neighbors, sons, fathers. They're little league coaches and veterans. They're people who love this country. These are Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers. They are removing violent criminals from our streets and neighborhoods. It's dangerous and difficult work. But ICE has one mission: to make America a safer place to live, and that's what they're doing. This is law enforcement. This is ICE.
And ultimately, it's for an American dream. You might have seen Secretary Noem with a commercial out there. We saw it during the Super Bowl. We've seen it through a number of different outlets, that you can come and live this American dream. If you seek to violate it, if you seek to violate laws or break them, you will be prosecuted. If you're here illegally, you will be sent back. But that golden door remains open to all those seeking freedom, doing it the legal way. And that American dream can be apprehended, obtained by literally anyone who will even dare to dream. With cut number 18, that's why people serve on these forces, so that their children and that other people can experience the American dream.
Dear America.
If I start investing when I'm 16?
9, 7. It could change my future. All our future. I want to be a nurse.
Go to college.
Be a businesswoman. I can save for a house with a trampoline. 2 trampolines. This year, every American child gets an investment account. And millions will be pre-funded. That's free money. We can all experience the American dream. Sign me up.
And investamerica.org and the trumpaccounts.gov, provided in a public and private partnership from the Dell Corporation, amongst other very, very giving donors. An exciting thing to watch as these IRA-esque programs can help push the pro-family agenda to have more children and also to get them a leg up. So think about this. If you have a kid last year through the remainder of the second term, or even if they are 10 or under, you can register them to have these accounts that, if left untouched by the age of 18, they're dealing with close to $200,000 in the bank. If left untouched by the age of 60, roughly $2.2 million ready and reserved and saved. So it's an amazing initiative to get the American worker back on their feet, and also for the next generations to truly experience that American dream. Now, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, with a United States-India joint statement just the last few days, with new agreements to reciprocal trade and tariffs. The United States of America and India are pleased to announce they have reached a framework for an interim agreement regarding reciprocal and mutually beneficial trade. It's an interim agreement, with the framework being reaffirmed with countries committed to a broader U.S.-India bilateral trade access. So BTA negotiations taking place in recent weeks that will ultimately launch President Trump's initiative of a more fair trade initiative with the Prime Minister Modi on February 13th. So this will be on Friday, which will include additional market access commitments and support more resilient supply chains. And the interim agreement between the United States and India will represent a historic milestone in our country's partnership together, demonstrating a common commitment to reciprocal and balanced trade based on mutual interest and concrete outcomes. So here are some key terms of this U.S.-India agreement. India will eliminate or reduce tariffs on all United States industrial goods and a wide range of U.S. food and agricultural products, including dried distillers grains, otherwise known as DDGs, red animal feed, tree nuts, also fresh and processed fruits, soybean oil, wine and spirits, and additional products. Now, the United States will apply a reciprocal tariff rate of 18% under Executive Order 14257 of April 2nd of 2025. This regulates imports with reciprocal tariffs to rectify trade practices that contribute to large and persistent annual United States goods trade deficits. So as amended, on originating goods of India, including textile and apparel, leather and footwear, plastic and rubber, organic chemicals, home decor, also artisanal products, and certain machinery, and subject to the successful conclusion of the agreement, will remove the reciprocal tariff on a wide range of goods identified in the potential tariff adjustments for aligned partners, and an annex to Executive Order 14346. This was from September 5th of last year, modifying the scope of reciprocal tariffs and establishing the procedures for implementing those trade and security agreements. So as this is amended, it does include generic pharmaceuticals, gems and diamonds, and aircraft parts. So a lot happening within this agreement that ultimately goes into effect temporarily come this Friday. The United States will also remove tariffs on certain aircraft parts and aircraft themselves from India imposed to eliminate threats to national security found in Proclamation 9704 on March 8th of 2018, back in the first term of President Trump. And this is adjusting imports of aluminum into the United States. Also with this, consistent with United States national security requirements, India will receive a preferential tariff rate quota for automotive parts subject to the tariff imposed to eliminate threats to national security found in Proclamation 9888 of May 17th, 2019. So this is all to do with automobiles and automobile parts coming in and out of the country. Contingent on the findings of the U.S. Section 232 investigations on pharmaceuticals and pharmaceutical ingredients, India will receive negotiated outcomes with respect to generic pharmaceuticals and agreements. So in plain English, that comes out to the United States and India commit to provide each other preferential market access in sectors of respective interests on a sustained basis. The United States and India will also establish rules of origin that ensure the benefits of the agreement accrue predominantly to the United States and India directly. Now, the U.S. and India will address non-tariff barriers that affect bilateral trade. India agreeing to address long-standing barriers to the United States and its trade deficits with medical devices, eliminate restrictive import licenses and procedures that delay market access to the quantitative restrictions on U.S. information and communicative technology goods, and determine with a view towards a positive outcome. So within 6 months of this entry into the force of the agreement, whether the United States developed or international standards, including testing requirements, are acceptable for the purposes of both countries, specifically with U.S. exports entering the Indian market, and its identified sectors. So this recognizes the importance of working together and both nations coming together. As a complete side note, prior to COVID, this was the fear that China did not want to see of the United States and India, the world's two largest democracies. Well, of course, we are a constitutional republic, but with our democratic values that we are peacefully and patriotically exporting through new tariff agreements and new trade deals, these two giants and massive economies can really help foster a new age of peace and prosperity by partnering on such crucial trade and reciprocal barriers and agreements. So working together to address these long-standing non-tariff barriers also on the top of the minds of both the president and the prime minister, especially in regards to United States food and agricultural products. For the purposes of enhancing ease of compliance with applicable technological regulations, the United States and India intend to discuss their respective standards and conformity assessment procedures for mutually agreed sectors. And in any event of any changes to the agreed upon tariffs of either country, the United States and India agree that the other country may modify its commitments. Now, the United States and India will promptly implement this framework and work towards finalizing the interim agreement with a view to conclude a mutually beneficial BTA consistent with the roadmap agreed to in the terms of references. So, in addition to all of what I just outlined, India intends to purchase $500 billion of United States energy products, aircraft and aircraft parts, precious metals, technological products, and coking coal over the next 5 years. Now, India and the United States will significantly increase trade in technological products and graphics processing units and other goods in data centers and expand joint technology cooperation. In turn, with all of that, silver will be used and mined at a higher level perhaps than ever before, especially with these data centers. So smart to get into the silver game if you can. As we see a gorgeous shot there of the White House on this Monday, February 9th. Also last week, President Trump launching the TrumpRx.gov. In case you missed all of that, the president delivering massive immediate savings to millions of Americans with the unveiling of TrumpRx.gov, a transformative new government platform that gives Americans direct access to dramatically lower prices on dozens of common high-cost brand name prescription drugs, securing that landmark most favored nation pricing agreements with leading pharmaceutical manufacturers. These deals ensure Americans pay prices aligned with the lowest in other developed nations. Again, approaching this all with common sense and fairness so that those here in America don't have to take out a loan for regular medications or simply be so stressed and burdened by these life-saving medications that they might need to survive. Now, starting just last week, American patients, especially the millions who face high out-of-pocket costs for medications not fully covered by insurance, can access substantially lower prices on dozens of essential drugs via TrumpRx.gov as the Trump administration pursues the best possible deals for the American people. Additional high-cost medications will be added on a rolling basis. And we can go through some of those details after we highlight the great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, All Family Pharmacy, doing just that. You can visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN for 10% off now. Use code RSBN10 with the storms and severe weather we've seen recently. It affects travel. It affects deliveries, access to care, and many Americans are now being reminded of how important preparation really is for Tamiflu, antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, NAD+. In fact, 300 essential medications, including emergency medical kits, that you could find right there at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN for off-label generics that can save your life, many of which have been on the market for nearly 75 years and FDA approved. But as of recently, Some in the big pharma territory saying, oh, that's not really worth it. We're not going to prescribe that. You might not be able to find it, in fact, at a big corner store. Imagine having a flu medication kit at home or even a few months of blood pressure medication left when you need it on hand instead of trying to refill prescriptions when the storms cause delays. All Family Pharmacy helps make that possible so patients can have that all on hand right there with a pharmaceutical note. But if you don't have insurance, that's okay. No red tape, no bureaucracy. A U.S. licensed doctor reviewing that order, sending it right back to you on the other end. No waiting rooms, no insurance roadblocks, no last minute panic. Only these life-saving essential medications there, available at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Choose freedom, choose the right pharmacy. Choose code RSBN10. That's RSBN10. 10% off now. Go ahead and scan that QR code for 10% off. If you like what you see here on the right side of history as your go-to live desk, your election headquarters for the 2026 midterms, and your rally network, we're providing you all unbridled access to your 45th and 47th Commander-in-Chief, the 50th Vice President, the 119th Congress, of course the First Lady, of course the Second Lady of the United States, all right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Please support us as we are in the new media realm, taking on legacy items that sometimes have boundless and unlimited funds. RSBnetwork.com/donate. You could text RSBN to 801-801 or a check and money order. We would greatly appreciate to 1550. That's 1550. Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344. It's the loveliest village on the plains. It's Auburn, Alabama. 36830 1550. Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344. Auburn, Alabama. 36830. Thank you for supporting us here on the right side of history. As again, this week, like so many others, nonstop, as we will give you all of the speeches, all of the press conferences, and all of the great action as the Commander-in-Chief looks to replicate the victories from 2 short years ago. We're covering the latest from the Trump White House here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll take a quick commercial break for additional sponsors. What a gorgeous day there in the Federal City. We'll see you back in a moment.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
Welcome back to RSBN. I'm Robert McNeely. We are covering the latest from the Trump White House, and TrumpRx.gov with the GLP-1 medications very, very popular. Among the highest spend drugs in the United States, these new dramatic price reductions can be found at TrumpRx.gov. So the monthly prices of Ozempic and the injectable Wegovy dropping from the $10.28 and $13.49 respectively to an average of $350 and as low as $199 depending on the dosage. Now the monthly price of Wegovy pill falling from $13.49 to as low as $149, again depending on the dosage, and Zepbound falling from $10.88 to an average of $346 and as low as $299, again, depending on that dosage. So you saw the GLP-1 very popular, and some fast food outlets actually showcasing that in some of their protein-packed new dishes over the course of the new year with resolutions and this new highly popular Maha movement, and focusing on GLP friendly, so something you might see at a menu near you. Of course, we saw last night too with Mike Tyson, the legendary boxer, really just speaking from the heart and pushing that Maha agenda along with Secretary Kennedy at HHS to eat real food right here in America. Now, millions of Americans are struggling with infertility, often paying for fertility treatments entirely out of pocket. Thanks to TrumpRx.gov, they stand to save an average of $2,000 plus per cycle on common medications. The price of Gonal F, one of the most commonly used fertility drugs, falls to as low as $168 per pen, depending on the dosage. Also, Cetrotide, another commonly used fertility drug, falling from $316 to simply $22.50, and the price of Ovidril falls from $251 to $84. Now, this launch marks only the beginning, and according to the White House, the Trump administration will be onboarding additional companies that have most favored nation agreements and is aggressively pursuing additional agreements to expand the platform, ultimately driving even greater savings for Americans on prescription prices. For Americans who obtain their prescriptions through insurance, President Trump calls on Congress to swiftly pass the Great Healthcare Plan. And this comprehensive reform would codify the savings from the Most Favored Nation initiative, lowering insurance premiums, holding big insurance companies accountable, maximizing price transparency, and enabling coverage of TrumpRx.gov. Purchasing under these healthcare plans, ensuring every American benefits from these historic reductions in drug costs. So we'll watch that very closely as the new year continues into this golden age. And we're seeing there the President's Church right across Lafayette Park there. Again, another gorgeous day in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. A media advisory for all of us here in the right side of history. Melania Trump will visit rare and serious disease child patients at NIH for Valentine's Day. She has a heart of gold. And I got to tell you, go see Melania, this documentary that is breaking records at the box office. A special look into the 20 days from private citizen to becoming once again the First Lady of the United States. Our First Lady, Melania Trump, to visit children with these rare and serious diseases at the Children's Inn at NIH for Valentine's Day. When will this take place? Well, this Wednesday, February 11th, in celebration of the weekend holiday, 2 o'clock Eastern, and that will be in Bethesda, Maryland. And the First Lady, who previously celebrated Valentine's Day at the Children's Inn back in 2018, 2019, and 2020, will be making her visit there at that Bethesda Children's Hospital. And really a great way to celebrate this week of love in all of its different forms, as we are called to do just that, to love our neighbor and to love others more than we love ourselves. A good reminder in this point of the year as winter is lingering and many Americans going through some tough times with these storms that took place recently. So check on your neighbor and make sure they're all okay during this time. Also with a big story that's been in the news with Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy Guthrie, that alleged ransom note. They're still working authorities to see if it is sincere, if it is true, if it's simply someone taking advantage of the situation, set to expire in a matter of hours, as we pray for the return and the safety of her mother. And also, as Sheriff Mark Lamb mentioning on another network this morning, that it would be nice as well not to take away from just the focus that this has had from the federal government to local and state authorities, because it is a high-profile family and case. Wouldn't it be nice to keep focused on all of the trafficking victims and the victims that faced such scrutiny because of an open border over the last few years? And I'm definitely in full agreement with that, as this administration finding at least a quarter now of the 300,000 children that went missing during the Autopen administration in 4 short years. It's almost hard to believe. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the weekend and the festivities in Super Bowl 60. Were you excited about the Seattle Seahawks, the great narratives of a running back unlike any other to a quarterback who was rejected by countless teams to finally have the top of the mountain football glory in Super Bowl 60 to Drake May, of course. On the New England Patriots side, Bob Kraft bringing his team back to the Super Bowl after the Brady dynasty, along with Gronk, both now unbelievable and amazing commentators in the game, but also that All-American halftime show honoring the life and legacy of the great Charlie Kirk. That was very moving, a touching tribute to a friend and former boss of yours truly, and every day a good reminder to be more like Charlie Kirk in any way that we can, especially when it comes to being good and faithful Christians, serving our communities, and whatever vocation we are in life. Go out there and make more of us, get married, have children. It's becoming a national security issue here in this country. As Secretary Kennedy has mentioned, we are roughly 2.1 children for every family, and that we have to get over that number as soon as possible. So we're looking at something that could be a national security issue in the near future. So go out there and make more Americans. It's a good message, as we saw Kid Rock talking about the Bible, dusting that off and giving our lives back over, dedicating that to the Lord, as President Trump doing just that with the 74th annual National Prayer Breakfast last week for May 17th. Mark that on your calendars, as America will be rededicated to the very foundational principles that we will celebrate on our 250th birthday on the 4th of July. Looking forward to that, culminating in a UFC fight that will be at the White House. So much to look forward to in this new year, as primary dates are coming up, including some big ones on March 3rd for the great state of Texas. There is a big three-way race there for the United States Senate. Incumbent John Cornyn, who is up for majority leader, of course, falling short to John Thune of South Dakota, but Wesley Hunt, the great congressman and Black Hawk helicopter pilot, graduate of West Point, he's in that race, along with Attorney General Ken Paxton. They are all neck and neck. I mean, that's an amazing race to watch there, so be sure to catch that closely, as we'll be on the road where President Trump will go for midterms 2026. We are your go-to election headquarters here on the right side of history. But I also would like your take, if you did watch the Bad Bunny halftime show. I had one friend running the halftime show for the All-American Turning Point USA one, and then watching the corner of my eye, the other one, to see compare and contrast notes. And I actually was pleasantly surprised, as yours truly, that there was an actual wedding apparently for the Bad Bunny celebration. So to that couple, congratulations and our best wishes. What a wedding nuptial to have there in front of millions and millions of football-loving Americans on TV, of course, there in Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. And there was definitely a message of division to a certain extent with that performance. But I like to look back on those great performances from Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, to the Rolling Stones. And there's been controversial ones before. We know Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. So the bottom line is kids are watching. There's always people who could be an inspiration to them in sports, music, and culture. And you deserve family-friendly entertainment. And Turning Point USA did not disappoint in what was one of the games that we've been getting spoiled over the last few years. So many of these games have been super close. This one was not, but regardless, some great storylines and football players giving their lives to Christ and celebrating his church, our country, in the 60th edition of the Super Bowl in a jam-packed weekend of sports. So we were very happy to have Junior Amave, former NFL player, dear friend of mine, on the network today. In case we have some open press later, it's closed press on President Trump's schedule today. We will have that covered for you, but be sure to be with us all week here on the right side of history as we cover the latest from the Trump White House. Feedback at rsbn.tv. Write in if you wish to opine. Again, feedback at rsbn.tv. Tell us what's going on in your neck of the woods, what you thought about the competitions this weekend, and what you think about everything right, left, and center as we celebrate 250 years in this golden era. For all of my colleagues here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, be with us all week as we cover the latest from the 45th and 47th President of the United States, your 50th Vice President, the 119th Congress, and as many stories as we can inside and outside of the Beltway. I'm Robert McNeely. Have a wonderful Monday. Stay warm. It's getting better here in the South, and we will always be here with you on the right side of history.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.